Welcome to the Rick Wyman Show for this week, just after Remembrance Day. And of course, it's a big weekend in Greater Sudbury. We've got the first of two Silverstick hockey tournaments coming up, and we've got to do some catching up as well. As usual, Puckhead is in the house. And to lead off the show this week, we're going to start things off with one of the head honchos for the Silverstick in Greater Sudbury. I've known this man for well over 30 years, and he is so knowledgeable about Silverstick. I thought it was only appropriate that we connect and get him on the show this week. Peter Michelutti, a man who's been around the rink, as we like to say, Peter, more than once on that Zamboni. Welcome to the show. Welcome, Puckhead. Once again, we're off and running with the Rick Wyman Show, brought to you by Sorta Local. So, Peter, Silverstick getting underway as of today, so to speak, with games beginning at 12 noon, continuing right through Friday, Saturday, and, of course, Championship Sunday. It's a big tournament. You've denied teams. You have well over 100 teams. This, can I safely say, is the biggest and perhaps the best Silverstick first of two weekends?
Thanks for inviting me, Rick. Yes, this is the biggest tournament we've ever run in the history of the Sudbury Silverstick. Our top last year was 118. This year we got up to 124 teams. So a lot of work. We're quite excited, and we're a little nervous because the first game is, like you said, at 12 o'clock today. We want to make sure everything goes off without a hitch today. So
now, and before we get to Puckhead, who's got a couple of questions for you as well, it's a last chance tournament. So a lot of people don't seem to appreciate the fact that regional winners in most cases have been determined right across the province, but a lot of teams want to come to Sudbury because not only is it a great place to hang out and play hockey, but you get a chance to qualify for the Silverstick, the major finals coming up a little bit later on, even though you didn't win your regionals. So I guess that also plays into the importance of why this tournament is so popular.
well, I got to correct you on that, Rick. Each team in Ontario is only allowed to enter one regional tournament. They're not allowed to enter one in Toronto and lose and come to Sudbury. So they got to make their choice. Sudbury, Oshawa, Collingwood, Vaughan, they got one choice to come. And we got to make sure we take care of all our northern teams first. And then we let in a few teams that got denied from entering Southern Ontario because they were already full.
Okay, well, thank you for that clarification. I thought it was, okay, you don't win your regional, you come in here. Puckhead, meet Peter Michelutti. I'm sure you've met before, but you've got the floor.
Thank you, and welcome, Peter. Nice to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you. Good.
I did read an article that was in the local media yesterday that talked about the economic impact of the tournament, and you indicated that this tournament brings in $11 million in economic activity. Can you break that down for the watchers and the viewers?
Well, it's over the 2 weekends, and we have about 4,400 hotel rooms rented over the Thursday, Friday, Saturday for 2 weekends. The hotel revenues, the restaurants will be busier than ever before. And Costco tells me these are the two biggest weekends of the year they have, because a lot of the Northern Ontario teams from Kapuskasing, Hearst, Timmins, they come down here and do their Christmas shopping. So they'll go, a team from Costco from Timmins last year spent over $100,000 at Costco alone. So it's a huge impact for the city of Sudbury.
Wow, well, we always know, Peter, and I'm sure Puckhead knows as well, that Costco is always busy Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so it's really no surprise. What about facilities? I mean, we've got rinks right across Greater Sudbury that will accommodate this tournament. There have been whispers that unless there are some improvements to some of the facilities, that maybe Greater Sudbury wouldn't be able or won't be able to accommodate a tournament of this magnitude. Is that correct?
Well, earlier this year, and it starts off about April, May for us. We start having our first meetings with the International Silverstick, and they always get requisitions from North Bay. Could they host a weekend? And Timmins came forward this year. They want to host a weekend because they feel that they could have some of the northern teams play up there. They want to host the U18A division this year, and we said no, only if we can't get enough ice time or hotels would move it up there, but we had enough this year. And North Bay, they got two double pads down there, so they're itching to get, one weekend from us. So and Sudbury, we're sort of behind the eight ball. Like, Sault Ste. Marie has two double rinks. Sudbury's got one double rink. North Bay's got two double rinks. If you go to Southern Ontario, in Whitby, where they hold the Silverstick, they got seven rinks in one building. Newmarket has a three-pad rink and three two-pad rinks. So Sudbury, we're really behind the times. We're back in the 1980s. We have to get some ice pads going in the city of Sudbury the next 5 years, or we're going to lose part of our tournament or all of our tournament to North Bay or Sault Ste. Marie.
Is the city aware of this?
I've talked to the last four mayors and I made them aware of it. Paul Lefebvre, he knows where I'm coming from, and he's saying he's trying his best. He said there's a double pad being thought about in Valcairn right now, where the swimming pool is. And I said, well, that's better than nothing, but all our hotels are in Sudbury. Like, to have, teams travel to Valcairn December or the end of November isn't really a good thing. I'd rather see, Countryside go to four pads if they can, or when we're building a new arena downtown, why not make it a three-pad rink instead of a one-pad rink? So I've been talking to a lot of people, and I don't know how far it's gone, but I'm trying.
Buckhead.
Yes, I want to follow up on Peter's point. Do you foresee a situation, Peter, in the future where we may well lose the tournament because of lack of hotel accommodations and or lack of arena space?
I could see us losing part of it in 2 to 3 years. I could see us losing all of it in 5 or 6 years, unless we step up and get us some better rinks. We've got more hotels coming. That was a problem too. We have, everybody wants to stay in the same hotels in the city. They don't want to stay in the older hotels. And we have two more new hotels coming up, the Sandman and another one on the Kingswood. That'll help in 2 years. But though this year we turned down 70 teams, we could have ran 3 weekends. So they're saying to me, if you turn down 70 teams, well, why don't we give one more weekend in North Bay and they could take that 70 teams up? Well, if North Bay gets on their foot in the door, they'll run 2 weekends and we'll be down to 1 weekend. So we're really treading water here to keep this tournament going locally.
Well, I guess we'll have to forget about trying to house teams at the Four Sisters on Lawrence Street in the west end of the city. Okay, I won't be so frivolous in my comments about the Four Sisters and their accommodations. Peter, the competition this year, I mean, every year there are teams that seem to rise to the occasion, and you never seem to know where, but I'm more concerned about what's happening not only in Greater Sudbury, but across the Northeast. I love it when a Northeastern Ontario team can advance to the big tournament down the road. Do we have that kind of identity this year with teams that perhaps could go all the way and make it to the big show?
Well, everybody's worried about the Ottawa teams. Like, Ottawa goes to Northumberland, which is down by Oshawa. That's where they have to go. And there's so many Ottawa teams that Northumberland or Oshawa fills out their roster real quick. They got 12 teams in each category. So then the teams from Ottawa have a choice, either Pembroke or Sudbury. So Pembroke takes the next 4 or 5 teams, then the next 4 or 5 left over, we'll accept them if we need them. Like, we want 8 teams in each division. If we have 7 and there's no more teams from Northern Ontario, we'll take a team from Ottawa. And Ottawa's pretty good because their AAA hockey doesn't start till age 13. So their U10, their U11, their U12 are usually strong. But I noticed Coppercliff U11 AA went to a tournament in Ottawa this past weekend, and they have gone to the semifinals, and they lost a team in Kingston in overtime, and they beat 2 Ottawa teams. So I think we're good in Sudbury. Coppercliff, Sault Ste. Marie is strong. Timmins is strong. North Bay's fairly strong. So our kids in Northern Ontario got a good chance, as well as Ottawa, as well as some of the Toronto teams, to move on. It's just a matter of, you get goaltending, just like the Sudbury Wolves. If you get goaltending, you win. You don't get goaltending, you're struggling.
Well, of course, the Montreal Canadiens and Edmonton Oilers can identify with the need for good goaltending. Puckhead?
Yeah, yes, they can. Peter, just a question for you. What teams, aside from the team that you mentioned, that are local have a good opportunity in your mind to advance?
Well, I think in the U10 division this weekend, U10A, Coppercliff, Sioux, and Sudbury are the 3 best. 3 teams are pretty well equal. In the U11 division, it comes down to Coppercliff again. U12, Coppercliff, Sudbury, the Sioux. Those are the local teams I know about. All the way to U18, we got 3 teams from the Timmins area down here, and any one of them could advance, like Hearst, uh, uh, Timmins, or Schumacher. They could all advance. It's just a matter of they stay out of the penalty box. They get, you know, timely goal scoring and keeping the puck out of the net. It's going to come down to staying out of the penalty box and, you know, put your best foot forward to play.
Okay, Peter, I want to talk to you about something that has occurred over the course of, well, for the last several years, and that's there's always something that seems to happen on Saturday night. It involves alcohol, it involves parents. And the thing is, sometimes coaches, and we've heard of incidents since I've refed in the tournament before, and I know the organizing committee and what can you do to control something like this, because we've had instances where coaches want to barge into the referee's room in Coppercliff and demand their piece of gold as well in terms of what they deem to be fair in terms of officiating, which we know is ridiculous. And then we have parents. We heard of an incident in the Sioux several years ago. Parents, when you have two Sioux teams going at it, injuries occurring and what have you. So is the committee aware of this and able to step in and perhaps end this nonsense as we continue? Because after all, it's about the kids playing hockey, having a good time in Sudbury. It's not about stupidity, alcohol, and parents just getting carried away.
Well, it starts as soon as they check in the hotels. We have the NOHA has a new hotel policy where all the teams have to sign that they're going to behave, no running the hallways, no drinking, no partying. If they do so, we could toss them out of our tournament. If we have a complaint, say from the Howard Johnson or the Hilton, we could say, sorry, we got a major complaint, we investigated, your team cannot continue. You're done, go home, you don't get your money back. As for the incident parents, it all stems down to we put the onus on the team's manager and coach. They have to control the parents. We don't know whose parents belong to who. And like the incidents you talked about, they were bad incidents 2 years ago and 3 years ago, where one person almost died when he put his fist through a glass door at Coppercliff Arena. He was in the hospital for 7 hours, emergency surgery. He ripped his arteries open. And it came down to, you know, they want their kids to go to the OHL, and if they don't feel they're getting the right shake and they referees are picking on them or the other team's hitting them, they get upset. So the parents live their lives through their kids sometimes, and it's hard to control. Like we have the police phone number right on our phone. Like anything happens, we dial that number pretty quick. We get them down the arenas.
I appreciate that. It's great to hear. And the thing is, I don't want to hear about any more ridiculous incidents at Silverstick. Like I said, it's about kids. It's about competitive hockey. And Puckhead, you know all about this because we've read about it, and we see it all the time that these incidents go on. We don't want any going on this weekend, right?
That's correct. What we want is hockey, and those who want to live their life vicariously through their children and act badly, they have no right to be at the tournament.
Want to ask you one question before we wrap things up, Peter, and I know that you've got a busy weekend coming up. Moving on from living vicariously, you've been around the rink. We see you all the time at the Sudbury Arena. What's your take on the Sudbury Wolves so far this season?
Well, you know, one thing about them, they don't have the record. They're in last place right now, but I'm looking ahead in the standings, and there's 2 teams they have to catch to make the playoffs. And those 2 teams are in sight, Oshawa and Brampton. I forget which one. They're only about 3 or 4 points ahead. But what I like about Sudbury is they don't quit. Even though they're down by 3 or 4 goals, they fight right to the very end. They have to have a goaltender step up to give them a hand, though. They just can't start every game down 3-0 on 4 shots. They're excited to watch. I bring my grandchildren there all the games all the time, and a lot of the Silverstick people come with me to the games. And it's disappointing for the players. We feel sad for them that, you know, they're trying and they just can't put the puck in the net, and the other team goes down and takes a shot and it's in the net. I hope to make the playoffs. We sort of have to make them make the playoffs this year, even if they, they squeak in. But I think they're going to have to unload a few veterans to get some draft picks for next year, because if not, they're going to be in trouble next year again.
Puckhead, last word.
They already are in trouble, Peter. They have no second round picks in 2026, 2027, or 2028. So yes, they have to unload veterans. Whether they'll be able to get the package and the players that they need will be a question for the team going forward.
Peter, thanks for dropping by and joining us this week on the Rick Wyman Show. Always a pleasure to chat. And, of course, we go back and talk about hockey, baseball, you name it. And, we understand you're a busy man for the next couple of days. So let's hope it's safe and some great hockey coming up. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for inviting me, Rick, and I'll see you at the rinks.
You will. Okay. Peter Michelutti, of course, is behind the Silverstick hockey tournament in Greater Sudbury. He's joining us. And again, it's a busy weekend. Starts at 12 noon today at various rinks. Continues today, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. This is weekend number 1 of 2 coming up. The following weekend will be in a couple of weeks. Some great hockey from right around the city. We'll be back with Puckhead and more talk. We're talking Blue Jays and some basketball coming up right after the break. Welcome back to the Rick Wyman Show for this week, brought to you by Sorta Local. With me is Puckhead as usual. Time to get caught up, Puckhead, on what's happening with baseball, and the talk is centering around Bo Bichette of the Toronto Blue Jays right now. It's like that old song, should I stay or should I go? And the thing is, it's going to be a matter of how much money is on the table for Bo Bichette and the Toronto Blue Jays. What's your take on his situation right now? Because, after all, he's got the cards in his hand. He can play them.
You're on a roll today, Rick, because I'll tell you, in excess is exactly what we're talking about when it comes to Bo Bichette. I just saw something that came up today from a story off the internet that Bo Bichette may be looking at a $300 million 10-year contract. May it be from the Jays, may be from somebody else. What I find interesting this season, though, in this offseason, that the teams that are speaking to Bo Bichette are not necessarily looking at him as a shortstop. Some teams are looking at him as a second baseman, and some teams, surprisingly, in my view, are looking at Bo Bichette as a third baseman, which is a position I don't think he's ever played either in minor or Major League Baseball.
He's got a great bat. There's no two ways about that. So I think the Jays have to be careful as to how they want to implement him down the road and at what position. So you're talking 300. Vladdy's getting 5. We're up to 8. Is there enough room in the account to justify some, higher price salaries as well if you want to spread that throughout the team? Because if you're going to blow $800 million on 2 players, I mean, we're talking, okay, to put that in perspective, McDavid, Draisaitl numbers in terms of earnings with the Oilers. So you want to pay your 2 best players. Is there enough to at least pad the rest of the roster in terms of, and there's talk that the Jays want to get another pitcher right now, unless they just cut a few of their players free to free up some space. But you've got to be considerate of the bottom line right now with the franchise. How much is Rogers Sports and Entertainment willing to spend on the product? First and foremost, I think 3 is reasonable for Bo. Do they have anything left?
Well, that's the $1 million question, because what happens with some of these teams, Rick, is you have a situation where you have what I'll call a stars and scrubs roster. And you've seen this before, where 2 or 3 players take up the majority of the payroll. And of course, you have to field the rest of a team. And the difficulty is that the people that are underneath these people, they may be coming in on bargain basement or 1-year prove it sort of deals. And this is the situation that you don't want to get into if you're in a baseball team, because some of these guys are getting 1-year prove it deals because they're not performing well, or you hope they're going to come back. And I think that's the question that Rogers is grappling with. If you pay Bo Bichette what he is looking for, apparently, then is there the money to continue to keep the team competitive and have a team as opposed to 2 individuals and other guys that don't have near the talent to compete for playoff positioning?
Well, they're going to have a problem with Bieber next year because he's on a 1-year contract. And, of course, if his numbers are good, he's going to want a great chunk of change as well. So therein lies the problem. And there are others that will say, My turn. More gruel, kind master, more gruel. They'll need that just to make sure that they're compensated. So I'm kind of wondering about this whole pigeonhole effect. Do you want to corner yourself? Do you want to paint yourself into that corner financially and spend that kind of money? Or do you decide to say, you know what, maybe we'll take a pass? I know Blue Jay fans don't want to hear that and move on and see if they can develop someone else with the potential to. I know it's a difficult ask to ring up the numbers that Bichette has and to play some good D. So they're going to have some problems coming up.
Well, I think you're always into that situation when you're signing people to long-term contracts, Rick. The difficulty that I have with Bo Bichette, even more than Vladdy Guerrero, is how long will Bo Bichette be a serviceable defensive player? If he no longer is a shortstop in 2 years and they have to move him to second base and third base, well, that's fine. But what if he loses his defensive ability? Then you're into an outfield situation or maybe a DH situation, and you may even have Vladdy in 5 years that may be a full-time DH. We don't know. But, this is the problem when you get into long-term contracts. And, often we talk about projection. And this is exactly what we're speaking about is when you sign these players to long-term deals, what's the future 5 years from now? It's a difficult situation. So it's not an easy call for the Jays. I think in the perfect world, they'd like to retain Bo Bichette. But as we both know, we don't live in a perfect world.
Far from it. I'll leave you with this. Davis Schneider this week said Dodgers were a better team. Yeah, we had our chances, but the Dodgers were better. And that's the first, I guess, public acknowledgement that we can attribute to the Blue Jays. But interesting that a player would come out and say that. He's right. The Dodgers did capitalize on what they did, and the Jays didn't. What was your take when you first heard that?
Well, I heard that, and I wasn't particularly surprised. I mean, you have to look at the most basic fact, and that's this. The Blue Jays were a luxury tax team, but they were $10 million over the luxury tax. By contrast, the Los Angeles Dodgers were $150 million plus over the luxury tax. So, I mean, just the disparity in payroll alone should tell you that the Dodgers probably have more talent than the Blue Jays. And, I think in over a long series, what you saw was that the Dodgers squeaked by. I don't think the disparity in talent was $150 million, but just in terms of pure talent that's available to play, I would say that the Dodgers had a better team. That's not to take anything away from the Blue Jays, who had a tremendous season. And I think that's what we have to remember. This team fell one game short. It fell 2 outs short of winning a world championship. And, we say this all the time, but if you would have told Rogers Communications and the management, John Schneider, and the coaches, hey guys, you're going to play in Game 7 of the World Series for a world championship, they would say, simple, sign me up. They would have taken that in a heartbeat.
Well, I told Blue Jay fans earlier this year when they asked me about my opinion, I said, they're not going to the World Series, and if you think they are, you're delusional. I was wrong. We got to move on to one other topic that we've kind of neglected in the last couple of weeks, that being I'd like to get into soccer before we wrap up as well. A couple of big games coming up. But first, quick take on the Toronto Raptors. I like the moxie with the team, the spirit, the energy. Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and I'm kind of thinking that maybe they've got better depth than last year and that maturity right now. And I'm kind of getting excited. I'm watching the games like last year. It was a no-brainer. I wouldn't last all 4 quarters, and this year it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, the Raptors are a fun team to watch, Rick. They've got a good group of guys. What they have this year is they have 2 things that they really didn't have last year. One is a dependable scorer in Brandon Ingram who can average 20 points a night, so an additional scoring option. They also have a better bench. So with more depth on the bench and more scoring in the starting lineup, they're going to be a better team. The one concern I have about the Raptors is that beyond Jakob Poeltl, they really don't have much in the front court. Now, tonight they're playing the Cleveland Cavs, and the Cavaliers are a good team. They have a lot of size up front, and I'll be very interested to see how the Raptors cope with that. I think if the Raptors could do something, and they probably may seriously consider doing this by the trade deadline, they may be looking for additional help in the front court. If they get that, I said before the season that the Raptors would probably be a play-in team, and I stand by that. I think they can make the playoffs. If they get a little bit more help and you get tremendous performances from Brandon Ingram, and I see that Colin Murray Boyles is off to an excellent start, they may be a top six legitimate playoff team. The Eastern Conference is not very good this season.
I'd love to get Jack Armstrong on this show because he is an A-lister, not a D-lister. Jack would provide some great insights, so I'm going to endeavor to see if we can get him on this show to talk more about the Raptors. If not Jack, then maybe Matt Devlin as well. Love the guys, and they do a great job in conveying that message on the Raptors' spirit and energy this season, so we'll keep a close eye on this. Something that's very close to your heart, the Canadian men's soccer team. Big game tonight. Ecuador, Venezuela coming up in a couple of weeks. More prep time. A lot of talk about the team. Jesse Marsh, feels pretty good about the chances coming up. And again, it's one of those things where even though it's not one of those games that count in terms of determining where you're going to go, you'd like to make an impression beginning this evening.
You certainly do, Rick. And these are big games. Now, I understand that they're friendly. So for people who don't understand this, they're basically exhibition games. However, we're now in a situation where you have only 3 friendly windows before the big dance next June. And that is a real issue. I mean, now we're getting down to what I'll call crunch time. Players that want to fight for a starting position need to start showing why they belong in the starting 11. And guys that are on the bubble as far as being selected for next year, they have to perform. They have 2 good tests in this window. Ecuador, number 23 ranked in the world. Canada, number 28. Ecuador is coming down to sea level. Now, you chuckle about that, but they play in Quito, Ecuador. The elevation of Quito, Ecuador is about 2,600 meters above sea level. So we'll see if that becomes an issue for the Ecuadorians. They're going to be playing in Toronto. I don't expect balmy weather. You're the meteorologist, but I don't think we have a great forecast for tonight. So Canada may have some advantages. Next week, early next week, they play Venezuela. We've played Venezuela recently. We played them in the Copa America, and we beat them in penalties in the quarterfinals to get to the Copa America semifinals. These are good tests, quality opponents, and the most interesting aspect of the Venezuela game, Rick, is it's supposed to be played in Miami, Florida. Now, I don't want to get too political, but we all know what's going on between the United States and Venezuela. So I'm not so sure if Venezuela is going to be too excited to go to Miami, and we'll see how many players actually get back on board the plane to go to Venezuela to go home.
A good point. I like that. A lot of talk about Canada's defense. Jesse Marsh really not overly concerned, but he did express some concerns about what the team has to do offensively. It's been a struggle. There have been some injuries. What's your take on some of the key individuals that have got to step it up?
Well, the scoring needs to improve. We haven't had a lot of production. In the last window, we scored no goals. So obviously, unless you're going to take 0-0 draws, you're not going to win very often scoring 0 goals. So bottom line, yes, we have to get some scoring. Jonathan David has not been in tremendous form because he hasn't been getting playing time over in Serie A. And some of the other strikers, such as Taniola Washai and Promise David, they need to step forward as a viable second option to Jonathan David. As far as the defense goes, the defense right now is injury riddled. A healthy Canadian defense is a formidable defense. But right now we're missing Alistair Johnston, we're missing Alphonso Davies, we're missing Luc de Fougerolles, and we're missing Moise Bombito. So 3 out of the 4 normal starters on this team are injured. So there's 2 ways of looking at that equation. That's the glass half empty. The glass half full is that we have other people that can step up and they can make a name for themselves and make themselves serious candidates to make the final roster for the World Cup.
This guy's a walking encyclopedia when it comes to Canadian men's soccer, Puckhead. I love it. You're just rambling off the names like, okay, I'm a casual viewer of men's soccer, but the thing is, you are totally ingrained in this sport, and the thing is, we'll be keeping a close eye on some of the, friendlies, as we like to call them, but are they really friendly? Let's end the show with a look at this weekend's Grey Cup. If we can briefly get into Saskatchewan, Montreal. We've got a couple of minutes left. I don't like Montreal because they beat my team, Hamilton, last week. Can't figure out why we can't get enough offense in Hamilton to beat a team like Montreal, but they've got, some injury issues as well. And Saskatchewan, I'm thinking good defense. I don't know if they'll be able to light it up against Montreal's defense as well, but I'm going to go Saskatchewan in the Grey Cup final this week, which is always an enjoyable watch. I've had a chance to watch many a Grey Cup. I love the NFL, love the CFL. It is football. That's all that's important, but I'm going to go with Saskatchewan simply. I don't like Montreal, and I think that Saskatchewan's a better team. Who do you like?
I like Saskatchewan in this matchup. First of all, you're playing in Winnipeg, so there'll be a lot of people that will become migrants for the weekend, traveling from Saskatchewan from all points. So you're going to see, I think, a very dominant Saskatchewan crowd. That's if they can fight off the Winnipeggers, because, as you know, there's some bad blood between the Blue Bombers and the Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
Oh, yeah.
I can't use the term that they call each other because it's a family show here, but Winnipeg and Saskatchewan don't like each other.
Okay, I like that call as well. So we're both on that Saskatchewan bandwagon. I want to say thanks to Peter Michelutti, of course, Silverstick weekend as well coming up. So if you get a chance, check out some of the competition. There are teams that will simply amaze you. There will be some one-sided games. There will be some nail-biters. The competition is always good when it comes to Silverstick play. It's the A weekend in a couple of weeks. The last weekend in November, it is the Double A weekend. Sudbury Wolves, of course, on the ice Friday and Saturday. Erie at home, a team they've beaten before. They play Saginaw on Saturday. Still working on the whole Rob Papineau angle as a general manager. He's been asked to appear on this show. Still waiting for his approval. But you know what? I'm not holding my breath on that one. If he wants to come on, he'll have an open forum, Puckhead, and all we can do is ask and try. And you know what? If someone doesn't want to come on the show, we move on to our next guest, and we'll have a guest next week at this same time. So I know you'll be watching the Wolves. I'll be watching the Bills in Buffalo this weekend when they take on Tampa. A busy, busy sports weekend. Puckhead, you have yourself a great week. We are back in 7 days with more on The Rick Wyman Show, brought to you by Sorta Local. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your parents, tell everyone to check it out, because the thing is, we talk sports and we talk about issues, and the most important thing that Puckhead and I have talked about is that you don't have to agree with us. You don't have to like us, right, Puckhead? As long as you think about the content that we've got on the show each and every week.